historic biblical figure of Nebuchadnezzar is uniquely apt for the pivotal figure of the quote-unquote democratic history in the making at this moment in the nation. For one thing, Nebu was a nation builder and a warrior. One could argue even more convincingly for the figure of Belshazzar, the successor of Nebuchadnezzar, or indeed Emperor Nero as reference point. You all remember Nero, the emperor who took to fiddling while Rome was burning. However, you may recall why I opted for Nebuchadnezzar as reference. The figure that currently sits on the top of our political pile himself evoked it once, albeit in a context that virtuously disclaimed any similarities, even tendencies. Perhaps he meant it at the time when he claimed, "I am no Nebuchadnezzar." Perhaps not. One judges leaders on acts, however, not pronouncements, which are often as reliable as electoral promises. King Nebu remains relevant, and not only for leadership. We, the citizens, are beginning to feel the heat. Without any claim to prophecy, unlike Shadrach and company. I knew you'd be surprised that I know my Bible. I don't, I looked it all up. We wake up each morning to a sensation that we're being cast in the furnace, together with those who at least committed the crime of dissent or criticism. No divine miracle appears to be at hand for a last-minute rescue. We will roast together. In desperation, one is reduced to hoping that the evocation of his own biblical reference points will resonate somewhere in the mind of one who is so ostentatiously humble and pious, who kneels at the feet of a priest who could easily be mistaken for an office worker, and cultivates the high and holy company of acknowledged spokesmen of God. So here goes, gentlemen of the press, let's not beat around the bush. The line has been drawn. The people must decide whether to submit or resist. We may be no-count plebeians in the sight of the newborn patricians, Asura and their apologies, but must we revert to the Abacharian status of glorified slaves? Of course, it is up to the people to decide. The Praetorian Guards have been let loose to teach us, the rabble, our place. The recent choice of a new leader for the Praetorian Guard was clearly no accident, and this hitherto unknown enforcer, one Suleiman Abba, has wasted no time in inaugurating a season of brutish power. When a people's elected emissaries are disenfranchised, cast out by vagrants, and resort to scaling fences to engage in their designated functions, the people get the message. However, the choice is always there, and each choice comes at a price. It's either we pay now or we pay later. The latest action of the supposed guardians of the law against the nation's lawgivers is an unambiguous declaration of war against the people. I'm glad that the commentator actually referred to it as an attempted coup d'etat. Legislators are not elected for their athletic prowess, and such endeavors should not be demanded of. There are even presidents and prime ministers who were elected despite physical handicaps. The brain is where it matters, the vision and commitment to service. Our legislators, however, have been paid to perform over and beyond the call of the Olympics. I don't understand why some media have described the action as a show of shame. That's a very careless, easily misapplied designation. The act of scaling gates and walls to fulfill their duty, whether they were elected by the people, must be set down as their finest hour. They must be applauded, not derided. If shame belongs anywhere, it belongs to the Inspector General of Police and his slavish adherence to conspiratorial, illegal, and unconstitutional instructions to undermine the democratic structure, and one, to make matters worse, convoked in response to an emergency of dire public concern. What sticks to this policeman is worse than shame. It is infamy. Such a public servant deserves to be publicly pilloried, tried, and meted a punishment that is appropriate to treasonable crimes, if only to serve as a deterrent to others in positions of responsibility under the law. The demand thus is to reduce ourselves before the status, below the status of free citizens in a free nation. It means we endorse violence against our representatives, and we are content to submit ourselves to the jackboots of naked force. It is to enunciate the era of the brute as the current fundamental modality of governance. For this latest outrage, one in an escalating series of impunity, the buck stops yet again at the presidency. And that incumbent, Goodluck Jonathan, continues to surprise us in ways that very few people could have anticipated. Peaking at his own personalized example, where he sets the law of simple arithmetic on its head, I refer to the split in the governor's forum, and Jonathan's formal endorsement of the minority will in a straightforward, simple, clear election. Democracy has been rendered meaningless where it should be most prevalently exemplified. Nothing is more unworthy than to degrade the structure by which one attains fulfillment. And this is what the nation has witnessed time and time again in various parts of the nation. The recent affront against the legislative chamber being only the most blatant and unconscionable. We know, of course, that this is not the first of its kind in the nation's history. But precedents are not binding. Each leader selects his or her own model for emulation or avoidance. That choice is a certain indicative of the true nature of such a leader, and a clue to the kind of conduct that people can expect under him. It is a warning. His choices for the occupancy of crucial public positions, such as the protective arm of the nation, the police, constitutes an even more immediate and constant public alert. The signals are ominous for and beyond 2015. These, to state the obvious, are not ordinary times. The menace of Boko Haram hangs over the corporate entity called the nation, and over every individual citizen on their bird of passage. The cliché heating up the polity may grate the eardrums with its banality. But I think we have a right to demand of a leader not to stoke up the furnace into which events have cast the citizens. Every day records a deep violation of our humanity. The atrocious targeting of the great mosque of Kano has rendered any lingering doubt of impending national inclusion an invitation to collective suicide, preferably through piecemeal dismemberment. The theories of cause and effect can wait or continue, it doesn't matter. The omniscient in such matters continue to pontificate, some of them forgetting that they indeed contributed to policies that landed us in this brutal glut. What does matter is an awareness that the nation is only part of a global eruption of fundamentalist delusions whose staple diet consists of destabilization and dehumanization, all summed up as an ideology of hate for the different, for the defiant. This should form the basis of understanding by which an implacable enemy is confronted. and it should form the basis of leadership awareness. It should have led, by now, to national mobilization on an unprecedented scale, one that may even impinge, however temporarily, on those liberties that you and I consider non-negotiable in our rights as citizens.